Um, I am Getaneh Alemu, metadata and cataloging librarian at Solent University in Southampton, UK. I came here being invited by the Information Studies group here in the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters at the Autonomous University of Chihuahua. It's my first time to Mexico, first time to Latin America. I came all the way originally from Ethiopia, studied in Europe and also did my PhD in University of Portsmouth, and since 2014 working as a librarian at Solent University. This morning I had my first talk on metadata for digital humanities. So obviously metadata can be applied to anywhere, scientific areas, social science, humanities, museums, galleries, archives, personal information systems, business information systems, almost anywhere. Metadata is data about data. So this morning we said metadata is the aboutness, which describes, provides context, provides information on about places, about objects, such as, for example, in terms of information objects, books, journal articles, databases. That's especially where I work at the moment. But also metadata can be applied for humanities and things like documents, for historical documents, images, paintings, sound archives, and this could be created by experts, for example, catalogers or people who studied on describing information resources. But also it could be done by authors who actually created the original information content. For example, authors of books, authors of journal articles. Metadata can also be created by users, who actually readers, students, and the like, who are interested in describing, providing context for a given information resource, a given artifact. Metadata can also be created by machines, computers. We leave a lot of metadata behind. For example, when we search through databases and use some kind of information system. So let's say on social media, when we like something, when we dislike something, when we rate something from 1 to 5, we are giving metadata. But also when we write reviews about the products that we bought, let's say on Amazon or any e-commerce application, that is metadata. That's why Amazon comes back to us and say, oh, these were the books that you were looking for, so maybe you are interested in these books now. So recommendations are also part of metadata. When you share something online, that's also metadata. So metadata is such a broad area. So we looked at how metadata has been created by various institutions, for example, libraries, archives, museums, and galleries. Basically, I talked about this morning on the why we need metadata. Growing collection of resources. Of course, information has always been growing. Even Seneca said there is too much information. There are too many books. David Weinberger wrote about too big to know, and Anne Blair, another author, wrote on too much to know. So basically, there is a lot of information out there. There is a sea of documents online and also in libraries. Hundreds of millions of objects, for example, are archived and preserved and maintained, made available by the Library of Congress, Europeana, the national libraries, I'm sure here in Mexico, also in the city of Chihuahua, in the university library here, in personal collections. So I gave all these areas where we apply metadata, because without metadata, without information organization, we don't have a systematic system where we could find, refine, access, and also we can't make sense of objects or information resources without metadata. That's why I say I cannot think of my life without metadata, and I think you shouldn't think of your life without metadata. When we go to a city, when we travel, we use metadata everywhere, like this, the street signs, the coffee shops. I love my coffee. I mentioned that during the talk as well. So metadata is everything. But when I say everything, everything that describes data, everything that describes other things, that is metadata. I also talked about metadata could be created by a kind of traditional standards-based conventional approach using standards in libraries and archives, but also metadata could be created using Web 2.0 modern social applications like the likes of library thing, as I said originally by, for example, by Amazon, Flickr. That's also metadata. I call that socially constructed metadata. And the metadata that we create in libraries and museums, I call it standards-based metadata. If you want basic metadata, a priori metadata created by experts, you have structure, interoperability, you have more granularity, you have more a kind of standardized approach to describe. For example, the fields are well structured, the title, author, description, summary, context, format of a particular information object by standards. But also all the metadata created by users, left by users when they search, browse around systems, database systems or information systems. So in my research I looked on both a priori standards-based and post-hoc user-based metadata, and I recommended for a mixed metadata approach where you actually meld the two approaches, bring the two approaches together, one complementing the other instead of one opposing the other. So that is a mixed I proposed a mixed metadata approach. I looked at also in this morning's talk, I looked at how the four emerging principles that I developed as part of my PhD, the principles of enriching, basically that is have as much metadata as possible, have as much description as possible, both from the standards, from authors, from experts, but also from users and from machines. Mix that using a systematic approach. So that is the principle of enriching. Enrich your information object with much breadth, depth, granular metadata. But also the principle of linking, link it within and also to external information sources, to other metadata providers, to other sources. For example, you have a place of publication in your metadata, but also probably you can link it to the database which talks about that place, database for places. You talk about authors, database about authors, reviews. Link it to external information sources. That's how, for example, we in libraries link to authority records, subject headings, for example, by the Library of Congress or by the Library of Congress subject headings or authorities and other subject authorities relevant for your library, for your description. The principles of openness. So that is use standards that are open in terms of format, but also in terms of scalability. So you open it so that others could link it. So you use a standard which is compatible for openness. So, for example, you could talk about open formats like RDF, XML, and others instead of a very peculiar standard, or niche standard only used for a particular application. So you open your data, your metadata for others. The last is filtering. The principle of filtering is you have as this enriching. You enriched your books, databases, resources with all this metadata from experts and also from users, from machines. How are you going to present it? So I recommend to present it in a personalized way, a reconfigurable way, in a more user-friendly manner, so that the filtering and the enriching is delineated, separated in a way. So have as much metadata as possible, filter it in a manner that's suitable for the user. Basically, my research focuses on these four principles of the principles of metadata enriching, the principles of metadata linking, the principle of metadata openness, and the principle of metadata filtering. Enrich, then filter. I believe the future of metadata is enriched with all kinds of contributions, using crowdsourcing approaches, using standards-based approaches, but also linked using standards like linked data, open using open formats, and filtered, presented in a way that is appropriate, relevant for the user. I'm really grateful to be here in Chihuahua at this wonderful university. The sun is shining, and I just love every bit of my time here in Latin America. And thank you very much, the Information Studies Group, also the Faculty of Philosophy and Letters, and the Autonomous University of Chihuahua. It's a wonderful city, wonderful university, wonderful people. Thank you very much. Chihuahua is a wonderful city surrounded by hills and mountains. It's very wonderful city. I did walk around the city center, looking at some of the historical places, but also I walked around meeting people, trying to learn some Spanish. ¿Cómo está? Gracias. And some of the things I got wrong, but it's just people are very, very friendly. They want to show you places around. They could just help you in lots of things. I'm at the Quality Inn hotel in Chihuahua. It's at the center of the city. It's beautiful. It's nice. The food is really great. I love Mexican food because it's also related to somehow, because of its spicy, like Ethiopian food. So I like a lot of spicy food. So I really enjoyed it. Being driven around the city, coming to the university, I saw beautiful places I want to visit during the weekend as well. But the university itself is amazing, and the students I met this morning and the staff members I met are all great people, very, very friendly people. Everyone greets you and everyone smiles. It feels really incredibly great to be here for the first time to Mexico, in Chihuahua, and the first time in Latin America. It is the Autonomous University of Chihuahua in Mexico. It's a very nice university with lots of students. It's comparable to Solent University in many ways, because we have a similar number of students. Here it focuses on more the humanities and philosophy and letters. We focus more on kind of creative technologies, games, fashion, design, communications. But more or less, when you go to a university environment, you feel that friendly, that nice environment where you meet students, talk about your research area, their research area. You share lots of common interest. When Dr. John Mashin showed me around, I met lots of professors and staff members who do teach and work here for this university. I saw lots of historical paintings, but I think I need to go back and see more that in detail later on. A nice environment. You can see in the background, they have a very spacious university as well here in Chihuahua. Very nice to be here. I feel really incredibly welcomed by everyone here at the university. I was presented with a coffee mug, a nice coffee mug, because I think they heard about the secrets that I love coffee. John made me some coffee as well in his office, and I was given a certificate from the faculty. I was very happy to receive a T-shirt also. I want to wear it these days. It's nice. It's just amazing how I'm really excited to be here. Everyone paid a visit when I'm in John's office and say hello. So I feel very happy. I want to visit the library and other areas of the university, of course, and the city. But thank you very much.